Chapter 1 Daliushu Village. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wei State, Xianxia County, Daliushu Village. The morning light is dim, willow trees grow wildly in front of and behind the village. Fang Yue lies on a large bluestone by the river, holding a willow leaf in his mouth and a lotus leaf on his head. Not far from him, a buffalo with shiny fur lowers its head to eat grass. Further away, the turbulent river rolls with waves, and fish jump out of the water from time to time. A young man, a buffalo, and fish in the river. What a beautiful water village. Although I ran a farm in my previous life, this is the first time I herd cattle. Fang Yue lies on his side, and it has been 3 months since he came to this world. He still can't adapt. The hard rock is not as comfortable as the recliner he just bought. He sighed, subconsciously took out a cigarette, and stretched out his hand to find that there is no pocket on the pants that are too small for his sister. Well, in the previous life, I made up my mind to quit smoking more than a dozen times, but it seems that I will finally quit it this time. Green mountains and clear waters, blue sky and white clouds, fresh air and natural ecology, this is exactly the pastoral life he longed for in his previous life. However, this is an ancient world with extremely low productivity. The court imposed heavy taxes, harsh policies were more ferocious than tigers, and various levies made the lives of the lower classes extremely difficult. Facing the lust and back to the sky, working hard all year round, it is difficult to maintain food and clothing. If there is a disaster year, selling children is even more of a problem, especially with only 2 meals a day, thin soup and dry biscuits. It is not enough to eat. Most of the time every day, I am hungry. Oh, I really want to eat meat. In his previous life, he couldn't live without meat, but now, he hasn't eaten meat for 3 months, and he almost forgot what meat tastes like. Could this be what Confucius said about not knowing the taste of meat in March? Fang Yue's eyes looked at the buffalo in front of him. No, he looked at Xianxia in front of the buffalo. He didn't want to eat this buffalo. After all, this buffalo was bought by his family after 5 years of frugality, but it is an important labor force. During the busy farming season, they have to work hard. If they didn't have this cow, they wouldn't be able to cultivate the dozen acres of land. Besides, the imperial court strictly forbade the slaughter of oxen. If you slaughtered oxen privately, you would be arrested and sent to jail. Fang Yue stood up, stepped over the old buffalo that was grazing, and came to the river. This was the bend of the river, and the water flow was relatively gentle. There should be a lot of fish in this river bay. With his rich fishing experience in his previous life, Fang Yue looked at the river water under his feet and couldn't help thinking, although Daliushu village is close to Xianxia, a river that nourishes 8 villages and 9 villages on both sides. In fact, few people go fishing in this era. On the one hand, strong laborers are basically trapped on the land. They have to keep farming and harvesting all year round to barely pay taxes, and basically have no free time. More importantly, fishing is very time-consuming, and it's okay to catch a little occasionally. If you fish every day and make a living from it, you can't cash in the fish at all. After all, this place is more than 200 miles away from the nearest Xianxia County, and the fish can't be transported there at all. I'll go back today and find a way to make a fishing rod. I'll try it tomorrow. Fang Yue thought silently that as a senior fisherman, he would naturally make some fishing tools. However, thinking about the conditions of his family, he could only try to make a fishing rod first. Brother Ji is going to jump into the river, come quickly. Brother Ji, don't think too much, don't jump. At this time, a loud noise sounded from a distance. When Fang Yue heard that someone wanted to jump into the river, he immediately looked around, thinking that he didn't see anyone around just now. With the idea of doubt and watching the excitement, Fang Yue looked around. No one. I didn't see anyone on the upper and lower banks of the river. But the next moment, Fang Yue suddenly came back to his senses. Brother Ji. Isn't this his nickname? He knew that people in ancient times would give their children cheap names, because the elders loved and cherished their children, and feared that their children could not grow up smoothly and healthily, so they deliberately marked their children as cheap. But what about Shirtu and Huzi? At the very least, it would be fine to name them Guzi and Erden, this Shuer or something. He doesn't look like a pig at all. However, Fang Yue didn't intend to correct the names of these children. After all, he didn't want to drink boys' urine. These days, you have to be in the same dust as everyone else. If your style of doing things is too jumpy and a little bit out of line, you will be criticized. I remember when he just came here, He was still thinking about copying poems and passing the imperial examinations in this ancient society, but it happened that at that time, Chenmatsi from the same village heard a few words from somewhere, and dragged a few words in the village, and was held down by the village elders and fed several bowls of boy's urine. It was said that it was to drive away evil spirits and avoid evil spirits, which made Chenmatsi vomit and have diarrhea, and finally lost his life. If he, a country boy who can't read a single word, shows any abnormality, he will probably be treated as possessed by evil spirits. Seeing this, Fang Yue can only wait for his chance. One person cannot fight against the whole world. Since it has come, let's make the best of it. Brother Ji, don't move. Be a man, what's there to worry about? If you jump into the river, what will your parents do? That the shouting was close at hand, and Fang Yue just turned around to see who was trying to defame him. At this moment, I felt a black shadow flying over. Damn! Don't come over. Seeing the person flying over, Fang Yue couldn't help but burst out a foul language and hurriedly dodged to the side. Fang Yue had just dodged, and the next moment, the black shadow rushed into the calm river bay. Chu, brother, thank you for saving me just now. Erguzi snorted and looked at Fang Yue with suspicion. Fang Yue looked at the sturdy boy with a bow and arrow in front of him, and couldn't help but be speechless. This is his neighbor and a descendant of the same clan. His family is a hunter. He and his father Fang Dahu are the top hunters within a radius of 30 miles in Daliushu village. They can often hunt prey, so although the family does not work, they live a good life and are considered a superior family in the village. So, although Fang Ergo is 3 years younger than him, he is a head taller than him. His arms were thick, almost as big as his thighs. Brother Ji, are you really not going to jump into the river? Fang Ergo scratched his head. Even though Fang Yue had explained it just now, he still asked in confusion. The rough man had muscles all over his head, and he was a simple countryman, so he was naturally very stubborn. Looking at Fang Ergu's serious and stubborn look, Fang Yue was also angry and laughed, and was about to continue explaining. At this moment, the sun was at its zenith, and the golden light flashed his eyes. Fang Yue couldn't help blinking, and when he opened his eyes again, he was stunned. A paragraph of text flashed in front of him. Talent, God level qualification, time flies, God rewards hard work, and every day that passes, the qualification +1, current qualification, 1, mediocre material, newcomer and new book, please support, collect, and read. Chapter 2 Sharing the Chicken. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What is this? This must be the golden finger. Fang Yue was immediately excited. He had been in this world for 3 months. At first, he tried many ways to activate the golden finger, but obviously, nothing happened in the end. He gave up for 3 months, but he didn't expect that the golden finger would be activated inexplicably now. Time flies, God rewards hard work, every day that passes, aptitude +1. Fang Yue focused his mind, and a message suddenly appeared in his mind. After a moment, he came back to his senses. The function of his golden finger is very simple. That is, every day that passes, it can increase a little aptitude. The higher the aptitude, the better the talent, and everything you learn and do must surpass ordinary people. As long as there is enough time, it is enough to turn a useless person into a peerless genius, but his current aptitude is only 1 point, which is a mediocre material. This must be slander. Fang Yue has lived 2 lives. Let alone a genius, he is definitely not a mediocre person. It's just that this little aptitude has been added. But it seems that there is no feeling, no change. He could only add a little bit every day, and he didn't know when changes would appear, and even if there were changes, what could he do? Become a good herder, or a good farmer? Fang Yue thought to himself, and a worried look appeared on his face. Fang Ergu, who was beside him, saw this and blinked his eyes and said, Brother Ji, if you are not going to jump into the river, then come back with me now. On his honest face, he still looked like he didn't believe you. Well, until now, he still suspected that Fang Yue was going to jump into the river to commit suicide, but he didn't even think about who fell into the river just now. Moreover, it was Fang Yue who fished him out. You are the one who is going to jump into the river. Fang Yue rolled his eyes at the other party, and then ignored this fool. Then, he turned around and led the cow home. Brother Ji, wait for me. If I don't tell you, you're going to jump into the river. I promise not to tell Huang Xiaohua that you're going to jump into the river. Along the way, dilapidated houses are dotted in a large open space at the river bend. It is said that you live by the mountain and you live by the water. Although Daliushu village is close to the mountains and the water, under the feudal peasant economy, land is the source of wealth. Most people in the village live a hard life, therefore, the houses that can be seen are basically thatched huts and adobe houses. In Daliushu village, there are only two buildings with blue bricks and grey tiles. One is the ancestral hall in the village, and the other is the house of the only landlord in the village, Mr. Lu. When Mr. Lu was young, his family was a rich peasant in the village. He had 20 acres of good paddy fields and lived a good life, but he chose to study. At the beginning, after Mr. Lu entered school, his grades quickly surpassed his peers. When he was 16 years old, he took the imperial examination for the first time and became a scholar. He became a prodigy that everyone in Daliushu village envied, and everyone thought that Mr. Lu would definitely pass the imperial examination, but in the next 10 years, Mr. Lu failed the exam repeatedly. For this reason, he not only sold all the 20 acres of paddy fields in his family, but also borrowed a lot of foreign debts. The life of the Lu family also changed from rich peasants to poverty. Mr. Lu himself gradually changed from a genius that everyone envied and learned from to a negative example in Daliushu village. I thought that Mr. Lu and even the Lu family were over in this life, but unexpectedly, when Mr. Lu was 35 years old, he actually passed the imperial examination. Because the Juren could be exempted from taxes and military service and had all kinds of conveniences, in just a few years, the Lu family turned over and became the largest landlord within 100 miles. Keep walking forward and soon you can see your own adobe yard. Because Fang Yue disturbed him today, he came back a little earlier than usual. At this time, his father Fang Mu and his elder brother Fang Cheng were still farming. His mother Chen should be helping in the kitchen of the Lu family, and his sister Fang Lan should be making lace at home. After returning home, he sent the buffalo to the cowshed, put some fodder in it, and filled the trough with water. Buffaloes are like strong laborers, and they have to work hard during the busy farming season, so they must be well taken care of. After entering the house, he saw his sister Fang Lan, who was knitting by the side of the yard. Before he could say anything, his mother Chen came out of the main room. Chen's hair was half gray, with a few wrinkles on the corners of her eyes, and she was wearing a washed and bleached dress. She was obviously in her 30s, but she looked even older than those aunts in their 50s in her previous life. "Zier, come here quickly and see what this is." Seeing Fang Yue coming back, Chen smiled, walked forward quickly, took out a handkerchief from her bosom, and opened it carefully. A piece of tender meat as thick as a little finger and about an inch long was revealed, which was a small piece of chicken. This piece of chicken was obviously brought out from the Lu family's kitchen. There is a saying that if the cook does not steal, the crops will not be abundant. It is inevitable that a cook will steal food. This is common sense and cannot be stopped. You always have to taste the saltiness of the food. This has long been a customary rule. As long as it is not excessive, the host family will always turn a blind eye. "Mother, why did you come back early today? Also, how could Mr. Lu be willing to kill a chicken?" These days, chickens are not usually killed, because most chickens are kept for laying eggs. Besides, even the landlord Lu family usually eats pork. Chicken is delicious and precious, and it is only eaten on important days. The young master of the Lu family returned to the village and killed a chicken. Mrs. Chen sighed, feeling a little distressed. She usually raised the chickens in the Lu family, and they were all old hens that could lay eggs. After all, a lot of eggs can be laid in a year. It's a pity that you can only eat one meal of meat after killing it. The young master of the Lu family. When Fang Yue heard this, a young man wearing a cyan satin shirt, with a silver collar around his neck, and a tiger-like head appeared in his mind. I still remember that around the Chinese New Year 3 months ago, the original owner went to the Lu family mansion to look for his mother. I happened to meet the young master of the Lu family. Maybe he had few playmates in the deep house compound. When he saw Fang Yue suddenly, he asked Fang Yue to play with him. The young master of the Lu family was running wildly around the house with his predecessor when he was having a lot of fun. Later, I felt it was not enough, so I took my predecessor to the ancestral hall. The young master of the Lu family got so excited that he broke the sacrificial vessels in the ancestral hall. This naturally alarmed the village elders who were guarding the ancestral hall. Breaking the sacrificial vessels was a big deal. Not to mention how much the compensation was, a family meal was definitely indispensable, but in the end, the young master of the Liu family only received a mild reprimand. The former body was given 20 lashes, and could not get out of bed for half a month. The latter body was not able to hold on, and he passed through time. Okay, sure. I still have to go back and take care of things. The meal is already ready. After you finish your meal, remember to deliver the meal to your father and brother. Mrs. Chen stuffed the chicken strips to Fang Yue without giving Fang Yue a chance to refuse, and then hurried out. In this life, Fang Yue has a brother and a sister, but his parents seem to prefer his younger son, and they always had to look after him if they had anything delicious to eat. No, I brought him a small piece of chicken. Fang Yue rushed to his sister, separated the chicken in his hand, and handed a piece to his sister Fang Lan. Please read it and vote for recommendation. Chapter 3, Knowing Martial Arts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Brother, sister doesn't like meat, you eat it. Fang Lan's eyes moved away from the chicken with difficulty. The aroma of meat made her swallow her saliva. There is no one in the world who doesn't like meat. Fang Lan used to be able to deceive her predecessor by saying this, but Fang Yue now can easily see through this little lie. We each have half. But Fang Lan was not willing to agree and was about to refuse. But at this time, Fang Yue had already stuffed the chicken into his sister's mouth. In his previous life, he didn't experience the affection of sisters. In this life, he has a brother, a sister, and parents. Although life is poor, it also has a different taste. As the meat smelled in her mouth, Fang Lan squinted her eyes in enjoyment. When she opened her eyes, Fang Yue had already drunk a small bowl of vegetable soup and held half a piece of bread in his mouth, bringing lunch for his father and brother. For breads, a gourd and 2 bowls of wild amaranth soup. Sister, I'm going to deliver food to Dad and brother. After walking out of the door for a quarter of an hour, they came to an open field. From a distance, under the mulberry tree at the end of the field, the tall, thin and dark Fang Mu and his brother Fang Cheng were already resting. Xiao Zhu, why are you here? Where's your mother? Taking the pancake and the gourd of soup, Fang Mu asked. Brother Fang Cheng was more dull, and he took the pancake and started eating. There was no expression for changing people to deliver food today. The young master of the Liu family is back, and my mother is helping at the Liu family. Fang Yue put down the 2 bowls and poured the vegetable soup in the gourd. The young master of the Liu family is back home. Fang Mu repeated, not knowing what he was thinking of, and looked at Fang Yue next to him. A trace of heartache flashed across his dark face, and then disappeared without a trace. For a while, there was only the sound of eating under the mulberry tree, but, at this moment, Fang Yue looked at his father and brother, and his stomach growled twice. He had already eaten when he just left the house, but he couldn't help it now. In the quiet environment, the sound was very loud. Fang Cheng looked up at Fang Yue, who was blushing, and picked up a piece of bread next to him and handed it over. Brother, here. Brother, eat it. Fang Yue quickly refused. Fang Cheng still had to work in the afternoon. Although it is not the busy farming season now, there is still a lot of work to do. If you don't eat more, you will definitely not be able to stand it in the afternoon. In the Fang family, there are 2 meals a day. Fang's father and brother Fang Cheng, who work in the fields all day, have 2 breads and a bowl of soup for each meal. Fang Lan, who makes nets at home, and Fang Yue, who herds cattle, have a bread and a bowl of soup for each meal. As for his mother Chen, because she helps in the kitchen at the Liu family, the host family provides a meal at noon, and she only eats dinner at home. Brother, you eat. Although Fang Cheng doesn't talk much, he is very caring for his younger brother and sister. Father Fang, who was standing by, smiled when he saw this scene. Which parent would not be happy when their children were friendly and harmonious with each other? Chenger, break off half for your brother. Father Fang said in a muffled voice. Fang Yue was injured a while ago and almost died. Even now, he is still not fully recovered. Father Fang felt even more distressed for this young son who was implicated. Dad has already said, brother, take it. Okay. Thank you, big brother, thank you, Dad. Fang Yue couldn't help but feel a sore nose and almost shed tears. After a while, Father Fang and his brother Fang Cheng finished their meal. Fang Yue packed up the bowl, then said goodbye to his father and brother and walked home. Here, I have to work in the afternoon. How can I not eat enough? Looking at Fang Yue's back getting farther and farther away, Father Fang took out half a piece of bread and stuffed it into Fang Cheng's hand before he could react, then he said with dignity, "Don't talk, eat quickly, and work after eating." On the way back, Fang Yue's steps were particularly brisk, the paddy fields gradually fell behind him, and a 5-foot-wide dirt road appeared in front of him. This is the road connecting the village to the outside, leading to several other villages to the east, and finally merging into the official road leading to Xianxia County, more than 200 miles away, on the flat road. Several children from the same village kept drawing on the ground and playing the well game there, but at this time, the road began to vibrate, and soon bursts of shouting were heard. At this time, 2 knights and a carriage roared from the east of the road, and in a blink of an eye they came close to Fang Yue. The carriage was wide and almost filled the road. On the tall horse in front, the knight in tight clothes shouted and cursed loudly. The country bumpkin in front, get out of the way. Fang Yue was stunned. He didn't expect that there were people in ancient times who raced. Although they were racing carriages, the other party had no intention of stopping. Before Fang Yue could react, the convoy had already rushed to the front of those children. The brown horses were only slow horses, but after galloping, under the effect of inertia, if they really hit the children, their frail bodies would not be able to withstand it, they would be seriously injured if not dead, and those children should have never encountered such a thing before, as if they were scared silly. They stared at the oncoming carriage in a daze, and didn't know how to dodge it. Seemed that the tragedy was about to happen in the next moment. All this happened in a moment. Even Fang Yue, who witnessed the whole process, had a blank mind at this time. "You don't want to die, get out of here." The knight's angry voice was close at hand, and Fang Yue suddenly woke up. He dropped the bowl and chopsticks and gourd in his hand and rushed to the child closest to him. He grabbed the other person and rolled to the side, falling into the grass next to him. Only one was saved, and the rest of them are probably in danger. During the rolling process, Fang Yue didn't dare to think about it anymore. The speed of the carriage was too fast, so fast that he had no chance to save anyone. The next moment, the sound of the horse screaming as if frightened sounded. Fang Yue's heart sank when he heard the sound. Did it really hit? Thinking of this, he stood up and hurriedly looked at the road. The tragic scene he expected did not happen. I saw a half-naked strong man actually pressed one hand on the 2 galloping horses, and actually stopped the momentum of the 2 horses. Behind the man, 3 frightened children. At this time, he seemed to have just reacted and started to cry. This, how is it possible? How could Fang Ergu's father, Uncle Fang Hu, stop 2 galloping horses? Seeing this scene, Fang Yue's 3 views that he had maintained for decades were almost shattered. No matter how strong a person's strength is, when he explodes, it is only a few hundred pounds at most. It is obviously impossible to stop 2 galloping horses, but now, it happened right in front of him. Looking at this scene, Fang Yue was stunned. Could it be that what his father once said was true? Uncle Fang Hu knows martial arts. Chapter 4, First Hearing of Martial Arts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You. Who are you? What do you want to do? The knight on horseback looked at Fang Hu with fear in his eyes, completely losing the arrogance he had before. There was even some fear in his eyes. I am the hunter in the village. You just scared the dolls in the village. Fang Hu took back his hand, touched his head, and said with a simple smile. Don't get out of the way. We're leaving in a hurry, so we won't argue with you this time. The knight seemed a little more courageous after hearing this. The sound also became louder, but after all, he made no other moves. He called his companions and immediately headed towards the village. Uncle Fang Hu, you really know how to do martial arts. At this time, Fang Yue walked closer and looked at the hunky man with a bow and arrow on his back. There was a clear doubt in his eyes. What kind of martial arts skills are just a few bankers' tricks? They can't be put on the stage. Fang Hu smiled and waved his hands quickly. Immediately, seeing the desire in Fang Yue's eyes, he continued, you can't learn if you don't have the talent in qualifications. Okay, go back quickly. Next time you see something like this happen, don't rush forward rashly. If you get hurt, your parents will definitely not be able to bear it. Fang Yue immediately touched Fang Yue's head and left with a smile, no talent or qualifications. Can't learn. Fang Yue was a little discouraged at first, but then he thought that he had just awakened a golden finger. Qualifications can be increased every day, his qualifications get better every day than the day before. If his qualifications are not good enough now and he cannot learn, then 10 days, 20 days, 100 days, or even a year later, his qualifications will one day meet the requirements. Which time traveler is not interested in this extraordinary power? Fang Yue is naturally no exception. Originally, according to Fang Yue's idea, he wanted to find an opportunity to make a living in Xianxia County. He can write and calculate, but in this village of Daliushu he can only farm for the rest of his life. But if you go to the county town, you may be able to find other jobs, which are better than farming anyway. But now, after seeing Fang Yue's great strength, he changed his mind. Therefore, you must find a way to learn martial arts. In the evening, during mealtime. Dad, today I saw Uncle Fang Yue blocking 2 galloping horses with his bare hands. Fang Yue said. His little thought was naturally to ask his father about Fang Yue's learning of martial arts. Even more, I want to know if there is martial arts in this world. Perhaps, this world is different from what he thought before. Oh, your Uncle Fang Yue has studied martial arts before. Although he never passed the martial arts exam later on, he is very strong. Fang Yue said in a muffled voice. He took a sip of the soup and then looked straight at Fang Yue. Sheer, do you know how many acres of land your Uncle Fang Yue's family used to have? Fang Yue shook his head. Uncle Fang Yue didn't live in the village before, but in Xianxia County. Outside Xianxia County, their family has 300 acres of land. You want to ask why your Uncle Fang Yue has returned to the village now, and why he doesn't live in the county anymore. It's because of learning martial arts. Fang Yue told it word by word. He had been familiar with Fang Yue since he was a child. Although the other party lived in Xianxia County back then, he would return to Daliushu village when he spent summer vacations as a child. Naturally, he played with Fang Yue, who was of the same age and clan. With such a family background, Fang Yue's family should have been rich for several lifetimes, but it happened that Fang Yue became obsessed with martial arts. Yu Dao is poor in culture and rich in martial arts, but Fang Yue invested so much in martial arts that he gradually ruined Noah's career. What's even more regrettable is that Fang Yue took part in the martial arts examination several times but failed. Later, I don't know why, so I returned to my hometown, where I am today. The next day, early in the morning, Fang Yue was not in a hurry to go out to herd cattle, but found a needle at home. Of course, I got it from Fang Lan's sewing box after hard work. Naturally, I approached the other party again and asked for a line. There were bamboo poles at home. After combining these things into a simple fishing pole, Fang Yue took the old buffalo and went out to herd the cattle. When you come to the old place, you don't have to worry about the old buffalo, it will naturally graze around. Fang Yue dug up a lot of earthworms in the ground to use as bait, and pulled some ryegrass nearby. It was only after seeing the ryegrass here that Fang Yue decided to go fishing to improve his life. After all, if you want to fish, it is not easy to catch with bait. Hanging on the hook. You have to make a nest first. By making nests, surrounding fish can be gathered together, which can improve fishing efficiency. Don't be so unlucky that you can't catch fish and end up in the Air Force. Of course, the conditions in ancient times were limited, although Fang Yue had many efficient and fast nesting methods in his mind. However, in this ancient time when supplies were scarce, it's hard to get enough to eat, let alone getting food to build a nest. Fortunately, Fang Yue had several other ways of making nests with grass in his mind. Among them, there is a method of making nests with ryegrass, which happened to be used today. After spending half an hour, Fang Yue divided a large bundle of ryegrass into dozens of small bundles, then tied them with stones and threw them into the inlet ahead, thus completing the nesting process. Next, he waited for another hour. When I felt that the time was almost up, I immediately picked up the fishing rod, hooked the bait on the hook, and started fishing with the rod. Perhaps in this era, Daliushu village has never fished like this, or maybe, he was lucky today. Just after he put the hook down, Fang Yue felt the hook was bitten. In just a few minutes, the fishing rod was pulled downward. Fang Yue immediately started to move. Of course, he had to be careful and not too impatient. After all, the fishing rod in his hand was too simple. If the movement was too violent, the line might break. after half an incense stick of time, Fang Yue slowly retracted the fishing rod after feeling that the prey on the hook was exhausted. It's actually a 2-gene grass carp. Seeing the prey exposed to the air and struggling, Fang Yue couldn't help but exclaim, a grass carp weighing more than 2 gene, about 1 foot long. Thinking that he could eat meat today, Fang Yue was in a good mood. With a harvest, of course, he had to keep working hard. However, it seemed that his luck ran out. Another hour passed, and nothing was caught. Looking at the time, Fang Yue was about to put away his fishing rod and go home, but at this moment, a line of text flashed in front of him. Time flies, God rewards hard work, aptitude +1, current aptitude, 2 points. The next moment, Fang Yue felt the weight of the fishing rod in his hand. Another fish was hooked. Half an hour later, Fang Yue looked at the puddle next to the bay, where 5 grass carps were tumbling, and their mouths were constantly opening and closing in sleep. Just now, my aptitude increased by 1 point. Why do I feel that my fishing skills have also improved? Fang Yue recalled everything just now, and clearly felt that with the improvement of aptitude, when he was fishing again, he would subconsciously correct the slight mistakes in his techniques, making the simple fishing rod in his hand more handy. His fishing skills have also improved a lot. Chapter 5 Fish and Remaining. You are listening at novelfull.audio. So, the qualifications have only improved a little, but they are actually so useful. Fang Yue strung the grass carp in the small puddle with braided straw ropes and wrapped them in lotus leaves. Since gaining a little more qualifications, Fang Yue has discovered that although his fishing skills have not improved immediately, however, during the process of fishing, his body naturally changed accordingly, and at the same time, various insights came into his mind. He corrected his movements and streamlined the redundant movements that appeared during fishing. Therefore, his fishing skills have improved visibly, and all of this is the effect of adding that little bit of qualification. Immediate and remarkable results. It seems that fishing is the right path. There should be no shortage of meat at home in the future. Fang Yue thought about it and couldn't help but smile. In this day and age, nothing makes people feel happier and more peaceful than having a full stomach. Just after noon, the sun began to shine brightly. He held the old buffalo in one hand and 5 grass carps in the other, and headed home. Today I will eat 2 fish for lunch and 2 fish for dinner. One is braised, one is made into soup, one is grilled, and one is steamed. I caught a lot this time, so I have to try a few more ways to eat. From now on, if I eat fish every day, I think I should be able to supplement my nutrition. With this thought in his mind, Fang Yue quickly walked into the village, and his yard was already in sight. Because he caught several fish this time, Fang Yue actually did not go the same way he usually did. Instead, we took a slight detour from the edge of the village. Otherwise, if you meet a clan relative in a village, they will inevitably see the fish in your hand. At that time, whether to give or not to give is the question. Fish, caught a lot. There is also the worry of catching too much fish. Of course, it's a happy pain. After walking a few more steps, the sound of a girl crying came from ahead. Mom, I'm hungry. Anu is so hungry. Anu, drink some water and lie still. It will be fine when you wake up. Fang Yue listened and looked towards a yard not far ahead that was even more dilapidated than his home. Several clumps of fences surrounded 2 houses made entirely of thatch. This is Widow Yu's house. Fang Yue looked through the holes in the fence and saw Widow Yu, wearing a gray sarong, holding a 5 or 6-year-old girl under the eaves. The Yu family is an outsider in the village. They settled in Daliushu 10 years ago. It is said that the ancestors of this family also produced scholars and high officials. Later, for some reason, their family fortunes declined and they were sentenced by the court to be sent to their Daliushu village. The family is in decline, and this family is an outsider. Originally a family of 3, they may have never done farm work. The family's life was very difficult. A few years ago, the man who headed the Yu family passed away due to illness. Only the orphan and the widow were left. Widow Yu is obviously different from the other women in the village. Her skin is fairer, her butt is as round as a cow's butt, and her chest is like 2 big carp, jumping with her movements. Fang Yue is full of energy, not a predecessor who has not yet awakened. Just these few glances made his blood boil. My dear, with such a figure, no wonder some people in the village said that his man was killed by her. No wonder, the head of the Yu family was skin and bones when he died. Rao Shi Fang Yue prides himself on being well informed, but this is the first time he has seen such a cheating and illegal body in reality. not to mention, this is ancient times, and this widow is not a technological product, she is purely original and natural. It's really amazing to be able to grow so exaggeratedly, having such a person in the family can really knock the bones and suck out the marrow. With today's living conditions, you can't even eat meat a few times, and you can't replenish your consumption at all, not to mention the weak and sick, even normal people have to be sucked dry. Since the death of Widow Yu's husband, rumors about Widow Yu's husband have spread in the village. Some people say that Widow Yu is a broom star, and whoever gets infected will definitely be in bad luck. Fang Yue was very disdainful of such rumors, but when he saw the real person today, he couldn't help but feel a little like this, what a monster. Mom, I'm still hungry. Anu feels so uncomfortable, that the little girl's voice was trembling, weak, and mixed with cries. Good boy, just be patient and you'll be fine. Just wake up and you'll be fine. Widow Yu also cried. The voice is delicate and full of sorrow, which makes people feel anxious listening to it. However, Fang Yue raised his feet and was about to leave. It was not his own business, so he should leave it alone. If someone sees it, there will be a lot of gossiping village women in the village. Who knows what will be said then? If his reputation is ruined because of this, he will not be able to find a wife in the future. However, Fang Yue didn't want to get into trouble. However, trouble happened to find him. It's Brother Yu. Widow Yu saw Fang Yue, and she even saw the grass carp under the lotus leaf in Fang Yue's hand. This graceful widow immediately stood up and walked to the fence in a few steps. She smiled longingly and looked at the boy who was only 14 or 15 years old in front of her. It's been rare recently. I heard that you were ill a while ago, but now you seem to be well. Are you just fishing? Widow Yu raised her arm to smooth away a few strands of hair from her forehead, her exposed arms dazzlingly white. I don't know how Widow Yu maintains her skin. She has planted 2 mu of thin land, but her skin is still very tender. Well, I was lucky today and caught a few fish. Fang Yue said. Widow Yu's breathing became rapid. Because of this action, the distance between the two seemed to be shortened by a few inches. There are 5 fish, and they are all so big. Brother Yu is really capable. Widow Yu admired sincerely, but the eagerness in her eyes could not be concealed. She did not continue to beat around the bush, but directly begged in a low voice. Brother Yu, can you lend me a fish? I will return it to you in 2 days. Do you think it's okay? After saying this, Widow Yu did not dare to look at Fang Yue. She just lowered her head, rubbed her hands, and paced anxiously. We haven't had any food at home for 3 days. My daughter is really starving. Brother Yu, please be kind. I kneel down for you. You. Fang Yue looked at the millstone shaking with the shaking of the other party's body, and couldn't help but admire it. However, no one's family is well off these days. His family can only eat 2 meals, and he and his sister actually only have half a meal, which is not enough to fill them up. Besides, this Widow Yu is obviously a troublesome person. It's better not to get involved casually, at the moment. He could only refuse cruelly. You, are you going to buy fish? When Widow Yu heard this, the hope in her eyes was extinguished immediately. She could hardly stand and almost fell down. Mom, I'm hungry. Chapter 6, Ning Xiang straight to the point. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Anu, it's all because of my mother's uselessness. It's all because of my mother's uselessness. Mom, don't cry. Anu is not hungry. Anu is not hungry. Just after walking a few steps, he heard the crying of the mother and daughter behind him. Fang Yue became more and more upset. He stamped his feet, but he couldn't be cruel after all. He untied the smallest grass carp from the straw rope and went to the door of Yu's house. Yu, bring a basin. The Widow Yu, who was miserable and desperate, heard the words, with disbelief in her eyes, but her body moved mechanically. She came to Fang Yue. Brother Yu. Fang Yue ignored her, threw the fish in his hand into the wooden basin, and then left without looking back. Widow Yu stared at the grass carp with its gills opening and closing in the wooden basin, and when she came to her senses, she quickly looked at the boy who had walked away. She wiped her tears and hurried home with the fish. Anu, mother will cook fish soup for you. Mother. After returning home, Fang Lan looked at the 4 grass carps in her brother's hand, and her expression changed instantly. "Brother, you went to the river to catch fish. How can you go to the river alone? It's too dangerous. Are you injured?" Fang Lan immediately looked Fang Yue up and down. "No, sister, I'm fine. I didn't go to the river. I caught these fish. Look, this is not a fishing rod." Fang Yue hurriedly explained, but her heart was full of warmth. This sister of hers didn't look at the fish first, and she wasn't happy because she could eat meat. The first thing she did was to care if he was injured. It was obvious that she valued her brother very much. "It's good that you're okay, it's good that you're okay." Fang Lan patted her chest, and then she was relieved, and then she quickly filled the wooden basin with water and asked Fang Yue to put the 4 fish in. Next, the 2 siblings discussed how to eat the fish, which was needless to say. After a while, Chen came back. Even though Fang Yue said it again and again, he still checked Fang Yue carefully from head to toe. After making sure that Fang Yue was not injured and there was no sign of wetness on his clothes, he began to praise Fang Yue. At noon that day, Fang's father and eldest brother had a much richer lunch. The wild vegetable soup of the past was changed to fish soup, and each person ate half a caddy of fish. However, while the family was enjoying the food, they also sternly warned Fang Yue that he could go fishing in the future, but he must not go into the water, otherwise, they would not eat the fish Fang Yue caught. Seeing his father, mother, brother, and sister treat him so well, Fang Yue was filled with infinite emotion. Although this world is not full of food, it is really good. He also has to protect this happiness well. In the next few days, Fang Yue would fish in his spare time while herding cattle, and because of the increase in qualifications, his fishing skills are getting better and better. There are many gains every day. However, Fang Yue didn't fish a lot, just 2 or 3 fish a day. It was enough for his family to eat, and more would be a waste. Of course, he had been walking along the road in front of Widow Yu's house these days. After all, if he had a harvest every day, it would be bad if he had fish to eat every day and was seen by the villagers. It's not the lack of fish that is worrying, but the inequality. Although the people in the countryside are simple, there is definitely no shortage of red-eye disease. When the time comes, rumors will spread, and I'm afraid it will have a bad impact. This is an era where reputation can kill people. Of course, it was only when he passed by Widow Yu's house occasionally. It was inevitable that he would give her a fish because of his soft heart. Of course, it was only a few times. 10 days later, at noon, Fang Yue finished fishing early that day and lay on the big blue stone to enjoy the cool. Time flies, God rewards hard work, aptitude +1. The familiar words appeared in front of him, and Fang Yue didn't care at first, but the next moment, the words did not disappear as usual. Instead, it changed again. Current qualification, 10, 1 in 10. Note, 1 in 10. You can already stand out among the ordinary people, but that's all. The next moment, Fang Yue seemed to feel a strange warm current in his body, but when he carefully sensed it, he found nothing. Just think it's an illusion. 1 in 10. The qualification evaluation has actually improved. Fang Yue couldn't help but sit up and look at the light screen in front of him. Qualification improvement, qualification of 1 in 10. Although this evaluation is not high, it is much better than that mediocre. Fang Yue immediately prepared to try fishing. He can only use this fishing technique to verify it now. Thinking of this, he immediately jumped up, walked a few steps to the river, and grabbed the fishing rod beside him. The slender and tough fishing rod fell into his hand, and Fang Yue looked at the turbid river bay in front of him. For some reason, he actually had a feeling in his heart that he would definitely be able to gain something with this rod. Without any hesitation, Fang Yue immediately cast his rod into the water. His movements were smooth and seamless, as if he had practiced them thousands of times. Sure enough, in just a moment, Fang Yue only felt the fishing rod in his hand suddenly sink, and the fishing rod in his hand was pulled into the river, which made Fang Yue feel exhausted. Fang Yue immediately exerted force, and the fishing rod in his hand instantly tightened like a bowstring of a full moon. At this time, the originally calm water surface was turbid with waves. Wow, it's a big one. Through the turbid waves, Fang Yue vaguely saw a 2-foot-long figure. It was obviously a big one. If it were usual, there would really be such a big fish on the hook. He would probably give up and try to get the fish off the hook. After all, the fishing rod in his hand was too simple and it was difficult to cope with this degree of pulling. If it was damaged, it would be bad, but today, he obviously had a different feeling. he might be able to catch this fish without damaging the fishing rod. Immediately, he was determined in his heart. Fang Yue began to wrestle with the giant fish, and various techniques of unloading and controlling force were used by him. By twisting his body, the pulling force was reduced. Gradually, as time went by, he slowly gained the upper hand. The lower body is strong, the upper limbs are coordinated, and the method of using strength to release strength is obviously crude, but there is a shadow of strength. This kind of talent and understanding can only be ranked below average. At this moment, under a willow tree not far away, Fang Yue stood facing the wind, holding a roe deer in his hand, but his eyes went through a distance of more than 10 feet and looked at Fang Yue on the river bank, muttering, "Dad, what are you looking at?" At this time, Fang Yue walked over with a silly look, then he followed Fang Yue's direction and looked at Fang Yue, whose half-body was gradually tilted towards the river bend. Immediately, the bow and arrow and pheasant in his hand fell to the ground. He stepped forward and ran, shouting, "Ah, Brother Ji, why are you so upset again? Brother Ji, don't move. Don't jump into the river." Chapter 7 Jumping into the River Again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ah bah. Ah sneeze. Brother Shi, are you really not going to jump into the river? Beside a bonfire, Fang Yue was naked from the waist up, leaning against the warm light of the fire. The dark face was full of worry. "I'm fishing. I'm really fishing." Fang Yue spread his hands helplessly. He had worn out the strength of the big fish just now and was about to put away his fishing rod and catch the big fish, when the big fish was just pulled out of the water. A familiar shout sounded, and then Fang Yue was warming himself by the fire. Naturally, this clan brother thought that he was about to jump into the river, and wanted to stop him. He rushed too fast and fell into the river again. Of course, the big fish got off the hook. Originally, Fang Yue felt it was a pity. After all, the fish weighed at least 10 kilograms, it was a pity that he just ran away after fishing for a long time. However, saving people is definitely more important. However, unexpectedly, when Fang Yue was fished out, he found the big fish in Fang Yue's arms. So now the big fish is divided and part of it goes into the pot in front of you. The flames rose and the fragrance of fish soup filled the air. "Stop talking and drink some fish soup." Next to him, Fang Yue looked at his silly son with a dark look on his face, and felt helpless in his heart. This son was simply a loser. My son has a simple nature, which can even be said to be too simple. This kind of temperament, the so-called innocent nature, is extremely helpful in the path of martial arts. However, in daily life, it is very worrying. In fact, it was precisely because of his son's temperament that Fang Yue was willing to stay in Daliushu village for so many years. "Dad, I get it, I get it." Fang Yue took a big sip of fish soup, and then looked at Fang Yue. "Brother Shi, the fish soup you make is really delicious. It's much better than the rice cooked by my father." Seeing that Fang Yue was like this, he didn't take his words into his heart at all. He was only thinking about eating and drinking. Fang Yue felt helpless and could only sigh and said, "You should learn more from Brother Shi in the future. If you are 1/10 as stable as Brother Shi, I will feel relieved in the future. If you don't know how to change and it remains the same, you will definitely suffer big losses in the future. Uncle Fang Yue is also here to help me. Besides, his heart is simple and pure, and good deeds bring blessings, so you don't have to worry too much." Fang Yue took over the conversation. Besides, with Uncle Fang Yue here, Yue will definitely not suffer. Hearing Fang Yue's words, Fang Yue also shook his head bitterly and said nothing more. However, there was a vague idea in my mind. About half an hour passed. Fang Yue's clothes were dried, and he also drank a lot of fish soup to get rid of the coldness in his body. It was also Fang Yue who followed Fang Yue in hunting for many years. He had plenty of meat and was strong. Otherwise, ask someone else. Even in the middle of summer, it is easy to catch wind and cold if you fall into the river like this. In this era, if someone in an ordinary family is infected with cold, it is like encountering a disaster. "Brother Shi, thank you for the fish today." Fang Yue pulled Fang Yue and thanked Fang Yue very seriously. Then he looked at Fang Yue and said, "Give Brother Shi the pheasant you shot." "I can't do it, I can't do it." Fang Yue naturally refused again and again. but when Fang Yue couldn't resist, the other party just stuffed the pheasant into his arms. Seeing this, Fang Yue was also very embarrassed, but he also gave 2 of the fish he caught to Fang Yue. Fang Yue, who had already walked a few steps, smiled slightly when he saw this scene. "Sister, what do you think this is?" After returning home, Fang Yue immediately took out the pheasant in his hand and handed it to Fang Lan like a treasure. "Ah, is this a pheasant? Brother Shi, where did this come from?" Fang Lan stopped what he was doing and suddenly exclaimed, his eyes shining brightly, "Although these days, my younger brother can bring back 1 or 2 fish every day, which has greatly improved their family's life. After seeing some meat and fish, the whole family's condition improved a lot. However, fish meat is still less oily and watery. The pheasant in front of me was quite big and seemed to weigh 3 to 4 kilograms, if the oil hair is shiny. There must be a lot of oil and water. Such pheasants are obviously not domesticated, but wild ones in the mountains." Thinking of this, Fang Lan couldn't help but change her face, thinking that her younger brother was bold enough to enter the mountain. Immediately he put one hand on his hips and pinched Fang Yue's ear with the other. "Brother Shi, you didn't go into the mountains, did you? How could you go into the mountains? You are too courageous. There are wild beasts in the mountains. What if you have something wrong with you?" That the majesty of the elder sister is undoubtedly evident at this moment. She is chatty, serious and stern, but it is full of the elder sister's care for her younger brother. "Sister, let go, sister, let go. Listen to my quibbles, no, listen to me. Uncle Fang who gave me this pheasant, and I didn't go into the mountain." With a hiss sound, Fang Yue took a breath of air, not expecting that his sister would sneak up on him. He quickly raised his head to relieve the pain and explained the origin of the pheasant. "Uncle Fang who gave it to you?" Fang Lan didn't believe it, but still let go Uncle Fang who lived not far from their home, so they could find out the truth as long as they asked. Then what his younger brother said was true. "Really, absolutely true, it's not true anymore," Fang Yue hurriedly assured. "Humph, I'll believe you this time. Okay, next time something like this happens, remember to make it clear as soon as possible. Also, don't go up the mountain, it's too dangerous." Fang Lan gave a few more worried instructions, and then put the pheasant into the cage in the yard. The pheasant was still alive, so there was no rush to eat it. Maybe it can lay a few eggs after a few days of feeding. "Today, the Lu family has something to do, and my mother won't be back at noon." Fang Lan said another sentence, and then prepared to take the fish to cook. When she opened the frame, she found that there was a big fish with some fish meat slaughtered inside. Even though a lot of fish had been slaughtered, looking at the remaining fish meat, it seemed that there was still nearly 10 kilograms. "Is this the big fish you caught? Aren't you afraid of being dragged into the water by this big fish? Don't be so reckless in the future." Fang Lan was amazed and worried. It was obvious that she knew how powerful such a big fish would be in the water. After glaring at her brother, Fang Lan went to cook. Looking at this scene, Fang Yue couldn't help but touch his nose. "Well, this sister is really fierce sometimes. These days, I have been deceived by her quiet performance, but it's good this way." Half an hour later, Fang Lan came out of the kitchen. "Brother, come and help. Send some of the remaining fish meat to Uncle San and Uncle Chi. Well, and Widow Yu next door, send some too." Chapter 8 Exchange. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fang Yue thought he heard wrongly. His sister actually asked him to deliver fish and meat to Widow Yu. For a moment, he was stunned and stood there motionless. "What are you still doing? Go back quickly. You will have to deliver food to Dad and brother soon." Fang Lan urged again. "Oh, I know." Fang Yue took the prepared fish and went out. The third uncle and the seventh uncle are both close relatives to the Fang Yue family. Moreover, they live relatively close to each other, so if something happens between them, they will often help each other. Therefore, if the situation is like today, several families will send some food to each other. After all, there was too much fish and meat for their family to eat. You can't keep things fresh in this day and age, they will be spoiled after today, so why not do them a favor? Fang Yue first went to the third uncle's and seventh uncle's houses. After delivering the fish and meat, he passed by Widow Yu's house when he came back. "Mom, Brother Yu is here." A little girl who was skinny, short, but a little more rosy than before was playing in the yard. As soon as he looked up and saw Fang Yue, he immediately called out. After a while, Widow Yue, who was still dressed in the same outfit and still graceful, came out of the room. She walked unsteadily. What a goblin. In ordinary times, you should take care not to look at anything inappropriate or speak anything inappropriate, but after all, Fang Yue is a soul from another world, and he is born without so many shackles. Besides, there were no outsiders here, so I couldn't help but stare at it for a while. Widow Yue naturally noticed Fang Yue's gaze, and her fair face instantly turned red to the root of her neck. He lowered his head, not daring to look at Fang Yue, although she has a coquettish and slutty appearance. She was once from a wealthy family, so she naturally knows her manners and shame. If other people looked at her so rudely, Widow Yue would have scolded them for being a slut, but Fang Yue was different. After all, he had feelings for her and her mother's lives, but I was thinking in my heart, Brother Yue has grown up. Ahem, Mrs. Yue, my sister asked me to give you this fish meat. Perhaps feeling that the atmosphere was a bit awkward, Fang Yue quickly handed over the fish in his hand. I can eat fish. Anu can eat fish today. I don't have to be hungry today. Anu's cheerful voice sounded. Anu, come inside and wait. Widow Yue sent her daughter into the house at this time. The next moment, she took the fish and weighed it slightly, feeling that it weighed about 2 or 3 kilograms. I gave so much fish again today. For some reason, Widow Yue couldn't help but feel a sore nose. She looked at Fang Yue with burning eyes. Thinking of the direction of his gaze just now, she grabbed Fang Yue's hand and pressed it against her. Try it. Widow Yue, what are you doing? Let go. Fang Yue said this, but his hand was very honest and he didn't let go at all. Needless to say, I have never had any contact with women in this life, but in his previous life, he was also a veteran of flower fields, but he had never seen anything like this. It's really unbelievable. In fact, it is far more amazing than what you see with your eyes. That is to say, this place is remote. Most farmers work in the fields, and there are not many active people in the village, but you still have to be careful about being seen. After all, if you are seen talking nonsense, you might have to give him a pig cage. I still have something to do, so I'll leave first, sister-in-law of the Yue family. Fang Yue didn't even look at Widow Yue, whose neck was red, and turned around and left as if she had eaten everything. I didn't expect that he was actually a little pervert. Widow Yue looked at Fang Yue's back and couldn't help but spat, but she didn't look angry at all. Instead she was full of helpless sadness. The clouds rolled and relaxed, and in the blink of an eye, a month had passed. The weather has entered midsummer and is slowly getting hotter. Fang Yue's life is still the same as before. He herds cattle and fishes every day. Sometimes when I catch too many fish, I will give some to my relatives, Widow Yue, and Fang Ergu. Slowly, Fang Yue's fishing skills spread in the village. This also attracted many people from the same village to learn. But no matter what they learned, they found that their gains were far inferior to Fang Yue's. It was obvious that Fang Yue was very skilled, and the way to fish was not simple. Seeing this, many people gave up. After all, fishing can eat meat, but it wastes time. Fish and meat cannot be sold for money, tax cannot be paid, and it cannot be preserved. Fishing is not as good as farming. This day, after grazing the cows, Fang Yue was just about to go home when Fang Ergu came looking for him. This time, he finally didn't pounce, seeing so many people in the village learning fishing from Fang Yue these days. Fang Ergu was also very moved. Brother Shi, can you teach me how to fish? Fang Ergu touched his head, feeling a little embarrassed, and said angrily, after all, fishing is also a skill and the ability to make a living. How can ordinary people teach others how to eat? I can teach you archery. Perhaps feeling embarrassed, Fang Ergu quickly added, after all, the only thing he knows how to do is archery. How could Orion not know how to shoot? Whatever Ergu said, if you want to learn it, I'll teach you. You don't need to exchange anything. Fang Yue was secretly happy that archery was also a good skill. There are many skills that are not overwhelming. If you can learn them well, you might be able to go hunting in the mountains in the future. Exchange study is great for him. Immediately, Fang Yue started to talk about the making of fishing rods. For example, what kind of bamboo pole should be used, how long the bamboo pole should be, and how to make it stronger and less likely to break. Another example is how to use bark to make fishing lines, or even fishing bait and making nests. All kinds of knowledge are explained slowly and taught step by step. Although Fang Yue seems to be a bit naive at ordinary times, in fact he is not stupid, he just has a pure temperament. He has a pure temperament and doesn't have so many distracting thoughts. He actually learns things very quickly. When you go back today, you can look for materials as I told you and make a fishing rod first. Come tomorrow, I will teach you how to fish. After Fang Yue finished explaining the theoretical knowledge, he went home with Fang Yue. As for archery, he didn't mention it at all. Anyway, with Fang Yue's temperament, he will definitely not break his promise. Besides, he doesn't have enough strength now, so he might not be able to draw the bow. The days ahead are long, don't rush these days. Chapter 9 Moving Stones. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time passed, and 7 days passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, the sun is just right. Fang Yue was sitting by the river, holding a 5-meter-long fishing rod in his hand. This fishing rod is twice as long and twice as thick. This is not the technologically advanced world that Fang Yue once had. Various supramolecular materials can make fishing rods strong, tough, and light as long as they are willing to spend money, but even in that era, Fang Yue, as a senior fisherman, had never seen anyone use a fishing rod exceeding 5 meters. After all, not to mention the weight of such a long fishing rod, the length alone will greatly affect the operation and will actually affect the performance. In this world, the best material is only bamboo pole, and the most suitable material is only bamboo pole. The 5-meter-long bamboo pole alone weighs more than 20 kilograms. Ordinary people just carry it, and soon they will feel strenuous. Not to mention, Fang Yue is holding it with one hand now. Taking into account the principle of leverage, his performance is so easy. Fang Yue's strength in one hand must not be more than 200 kilograms. Seeing this scene, Fang Yue couldn't help but marvel in his heart. I really didn't expect it. I really didn't see it. Fang Yue seems to be 2 or 3 years younger than him this year, 12 or 13, what a beast. In this way, due to the continuous improvement of qualifications these days, fishing skills have become more and more proficient. Therefore, the little arrogance generated in his heart dissipated without a trace in an instant. However, this also convinced him even more. Fang Yue knows real kung fu. Otherwise, even if Fang Yue was taller and stronger than him, he would not be able to have such great strength. Thinking of this, Fang Yue looked at the young man next to him, and his eyes gradually showed some passion. Brother Shi, why hasn't this fish taken the bait yet? Fang Yue's tone was irritable, and he was grabbing his hair with his other hand, as if there were a few fleas crawling on his head and biting him. Seeing this scene, Fang Yue was shocked and felt better. This evil Fang Yue finally behaved normally. This is what a farm kid should look like. The most important thing when fishing is your mind. You must be able to endure loneliness and guard your loneliness. Yu Dao is like a man in a boat with a coir raincoat hat, fishing alone in the snow in the cold river. It's only been a while, but I can't bear it any longer. When I first started learning fishing, at that time, it took me a long time to catch my first fish. Fang Yue stood with his hands behind his hands, showing the destructive momentum of an old scholar. Brother Shi, how long did it take you? Fang Yue asked anxiously. Only an hour. Fang Yue thought about it in his mind and said, an hour is 2 hours. When he learned to fish in his previous life, it took almost this long to catch a fish for the first time, although after a long period of time, it took him even longer than this time to catch another fish. Ah, Brother Shi, you are so amazing. Fang Yue was stunned at first, and his dark and broad face, which was almost wider than Fang Yue's waist, instantly turned to stone. He opened his mouth so wide that he could stuff an egg into it, and he looked at Fang Yue with shock on his face. After all, he had been fishing for a long time, almost 2 hours. Perhaps it was Fang Yue's luck that came to him just as he spoke. The fishing rod in his hand sank slightly. A fish has taken the bait. Follow what I taught you before and don't be impatient. Seeing this, Fang Yue lowered his voice and began to tell Fang Yue the techniques that had been taught more than a dozen times. In fact, judging from the swing of the fishing rod, the fish taken should not be big. At this time, even if you throw out the fishing rod quickly, you have a high probability of catching the fish. However, it fell into the hands of Fang Yue, but something unexpected happened. and the fishing rod shook violently and vibrated. Fang Yue was obviously anxious, and he exerted force again. The powerful force immediately threw the fishing rod out. The 5-meter-long bamboo pole flew rapidly through the air. The howling wind made a harsh noise. After a while, Fang Yue looked at a small grass carp that was not even as long as a palm on the hook, and couldn't help but said, "Brother Shi, I caught it, I really caught it." Fang Yue was originally worried that he would fail again this time, but this time he actually gained something. He finally learned to fish. In fact, the fish was too small, so even though I made a mistake, I still caught it. After 7 days of studying for an hour every day, Fang Yue finally caught a fish. It can also be seen that fishing is not easy. After all, in this era, various fishing tools are too rudimentary. If the tools are too poor, you have to rely on technology to make up for it. Well, not bad, really good. Fang Yue felt that at this time, he should be an old man with a white beard. Watching his juniors catch fish through his guidance, he stroked his non-existent long beard with one hand and encouraged the younger generation with a smile. It is a very fulfilling thing to teach a disciple and watch him gain something. After calming down his emotions, although Fang Yue still had a look of excitement on his face, he did not strike while the iron was hot and continue fishing. Instead, he took his bow and arrow from the side, walked up to Fang Yue, and said angrily, "Brother Shi, it's my turn to teach you the art of archery." At this time, Fang Yue imitated what his father used to be like, expressionless, serious, but he was born with a simple and honest face. The more serious he was, the more out of place he looked. "My father said that to learn archery, you must first practice strength. Only when you have enough strength can you start learning archery. Brother Ji, you see that my bow is a 3-stone bow. To pull it open, you have to lift this stone. Oh no, this is a stone above your head. Then, keep it for 30 breaths." Fang Yue touched this stone and lifted it while talking. Soon, he found a bucket-sized stone. He lifted the stone and lifted it above his head to demonstrate to Fang Yue. Fang Yue couldn't help but jump. This stone is several times bigger than his wooden barrel. It must be more than 300 pounds, just lifted it like this. Brother Ji, come and try it too. Soon, 30 breaths passed. Fang Yue put down the stone without blushing or panting. It was obvious that Fang Yue's strength was far more than 300 kilograms. Just move the stone like this. Fang Yue was a little skeptical. Can moving stones build strength? Just like weightlifting? Can you develop a strong body by practicing like this? Is this scientific? That's what my father taught me. It must be right. As long as you move the stone slowly, your strength will increase. Fang Yue nodded and said with a simple smile, "Reading is important, reading is important, reading is important. Urgent, readers, please read the latest chapter every day when you have nothing to do." Chapter 10 Breathing Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Although he didn't believe it and felt it was ridiculous, but Fang Yue looked at Fang Yue's serious face, and his doubts were reduced a little. Then, he couldn't help but start to try. More than 300 kilograms of stone, it was much bigger than his bucket. It should have been washed in from somewhere when the water rose before, and then it was stranded on the shore when the water level dropped. Concentrating and holding his breath, Fang Yue clapped his hands, then grabbed both sides of the big blue stone, and secretly shouted the word "rise" in his heart. The next moment, the stone just shook, and it was actually shaken by Fang Yue. But after a few breaths, Fang Yue could no longer support it, and the stone in his hand fell down immediately. Obviously, Fang Yue's strength was not enough. However, although he failed, Fang Yue was not depressed. On the contrary, at this moment, he was shocked by his own strength. My strength just now was at least hundreds of kilograms. Fang Yue stared at the big blue stone in front of him. When he first crossed over, his body was still very weak. Later, he gradually recovered, but because of long-term malnutrition and slow physical development due to not eating enough every day, he was not strong at all, and it was very difficult to fetch water. This is why Fang Yue only herded cattle and did not follow his father and brother to work in the field, and now, he almost moved this big blue stone off the ground just now. This shows that his strength must be at least 100 or 200 pounds. So, where did all this strength come from? Fang Yue couldn't help but ponder. Could it be that he could eat fish and meat almost every day these days, and his living conditions improved, so he increased his strength? But it shouldn't be so exaggerated. Time flies, God rewards hard work, aptitude +1. At this time, the familiar words appeared in front of Fang Yue. Suddenly, a faint warmth came from nowhere and quickly flowed through Fang Yue's body. It disappeared in a moment, and at the same time, the fatigue and muscle soreness also dissipated a little. In just one breath, his condition recovered a lot. Could it be that the talent that increases every day is actually improving my physical condition? Fang Yue couldn't help thinking about it, and the thoughts in his mind kept turning. Soon he woke up, and it must be like this: if a person's talent becomes stronger, then his whole body will become stronger. In simple terms, if the physical fitness improves, then the increase in physical strength is also reasonable. For example, in the rumors of the previous life, some people are born with great strength and can lift a tripod, or some people have extremely strong endurance and run for days and nights without rest, such as this. It is a talent that exceeds ordinary people. However, most of these people often do not perform too much beyond ordinary people at the beginning, because high talent represents more potential, and potential will not be revealed if it is not trained. It is precisely because of this. And he has not done anything hard during this period, so he has never noticed that his strength has changed. Brother Ji, that's it. Just lift the stone 100 times a day. I'll calculate the time. Fang Yue counted on his fingers and calculated the time very carefully. You can lift it in about 5 months. Looking at Fang Yue's serious look, Fang Yue suddenly didn't know what to say. Just now he experienced that the weight of this stone was at least 350 kilograms, maybe even 400 kilograms. Athletes who have undergone long-term training in the previous life may be able to lift heavier weights, but no one can do it as Fang Yue does. His face is not red, his heart is not beating, and it is obvious that he still has a lot of spare energy. This is not something that can be done by weightlifting training 100 times a day. It can be done in 5 months. So simple. It sounds simple, but it is obviously not that simple. If that is true, wouldn't everyone in this world be a strongman? If Fang Yue's character was not known, Fang Yue would have thought that this guy was playing a trick on him. This may be martial arts. Only martial arts and kung fu can explain that Fang Yue can have such strong power at such a young age. However, Fang Yue also knew that the inheritance of martial arts is very precious. After all, Fang Yue's family was once a big landlord, and such a wealthy person fell because of learning martial arts. If Fang Yue could learn fishing just by teaching him, it would seem that he was too utilitarian. However, although he didn't know the kung fu, if it was just simple training, it seemed that it was possible for him to achieve it. The increase in qualifications can make him increase his strength naturally. Now it is only 1 in 10. Then wait for the qualifications to reach 100 points, 1 in 100, and even 1 in 1,000 or 10,000 in the future. By then, the qualifications will be hundreds or thousands, so wouldn't his own strength become even greater? Thinking of this, Fang Yue couldn't help laughing. As for lifting stones, it is considered as training, but you have to find a smaller stone. In this way, dozens of days passed. Midsummer has passed and autumn is gradually coming. I don't know if it's due to the weather or something else, but the water level of Xianxia River has dropped rapidly. The water surface, which was originally 5 or 6 feet wide, is now only about 2 feet wide. The water volume has decreased greatly, and the number of fish swimming in the water has also decreased significantly. These days, there are almost no decent fish catches in Xiahewen. Fang Yue saw this and there was nothing he could do. He could only sigh that this river was really called the right name, Xianxia River. It only looks like a river during the flood season in summer, and it will dry up once the season is over. Fang Yue didn't learn to fish during this period because he couldn't fish. It happened to be the busy farming season, and Fang Yue followed his father and brother to work in the fields every day. After finishing the farm work, Fang Yue would do some exercises. Of course, it was not the stone lifting that Fang Yue said, but a more systematic and complete fitness, not to mention how much strength he gained. At least he could develop his body's potential. That afternoon, Fang Yue finished his farm work in the field. After dinner, he came to the river before it got dark. Blowing the refreshing cool breeze, he found the stone lock he made and started to exercise. Each stone lock weighs 30 kilograms. He can now easily throw it up and catch it with one hand. He didn't feel tired after exercising for a quarter of an hour. Now my strength is almost 400 kilograms. After Fang Yue finished warming up, he looked at another stone beside him, which was the big blue stone. He took a deep breath and immediately reached out to grab the big blue stone. He took a deep breath, exerted his muscles, and lifted it up. This time, the big blue stone was slowly lifted by him. Ha! You can lift that stone without practicing breathing techniques. Is this natural power? That at this moment, Fang Yue, who was passing by, saw the scene in front of him, and his copper bell-like eyes couldn't help shrinking. Please read, please read, please read.